Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going deep underground into a future where humanity's hiding. A world of, well, rust and survival.
Yeah, it's a future where the sky itself became the enemy, forcing people below ground. We're going to be unpacking that story.
Exactly. We want to explore this whole timeline, you know. How did it get this bad? From before the machines even showed up, through the collapse, the war on the surface.
All the way to life now in this underground colony.
Yeah.
And, of course, the big mystery. These machines, the Ark, what are they? Where did they come from?
So setting the scene, it's 2180. The surface world, it belongs to the machines now. We're talking about the Rust Belt, what used to be South Calabrata, part of Italy, just a wasteland.
A toxic, dangerous wasteland. And what's left of humankind is literally scratching out an existence underneath it all.
Our goal today, then, is to really piece together how this happened. Understand the history, the big environmental disaster that kicked things off.
Right, the prehistory is crucial. Then the arrival of Ark, the nature of life below ground, and this central question about who or what is behind the machines. It's a story about being left behind, honestly, about survival against impossible odds.
And the initial shock, the event itself, it sounds utterly terrifying. The lore says the sky turned against us.
Yeah, just suddenly, machines falling like rain, burning like suns, no warning, just overwhelming destruction.
The speed of it must have been staggering.
Absolutely. Cities, power, communications gone in days, maybe weeks tops,
Yeah.
before organized society just dissolved. People had to scramble underground fast. This wasn't some slow decline at the end. It was a sudden hammer blow.
But like you said, this final blow, the first wave, it didn't come out of nowhere. The stage was set long before, wasn't it? By human decision?
Exactly. Decades of failure led up to it.
Okay, so let's rewind. The Arc machines, they show up around 2145, give or take. That leaves this huge gap, nearly 100 years after, well, after the first big crisis.
That's right. Before the machines, the real problem, the original sin, if you like, was a massive global environmental collapse.
Not just a single event, but a long decline.
Exactly. It wasn't like an asteroid hit. It was decades of things falling apart. Resources dwindling, ecosystems failing, pollution spiraling. The evidence is scattered across the ruins.
So how do we pin down when this environmental crisis really hit its peak? What clues do we have?
Well, looking at the tech left behind, some of the oldest yet seemingly still functional stuff when it all went down looks like it's from the late 70s, early 80s.
Seriously, that old?
Yeah, which suggests that basic infrastructure investment just stopped way back then in some areas. But we also have more specific clues. There's graffiti found deep in some ruins. That's actually dated 2054.
Okay, so that gives us a window. Sometime between, say, the 1980s and the mid-21st century, the planet basically became unlivable, at least for a large part of the population.
Pretty much. That's the period when things really went south. Water shortages, toxic storms, failing agriculture. It wasn't just the environment breaking down, it was society itself fraying under the strain.
And this long, slow collapse gave certain people time to plan an escape.
Exactly. The powerful, the wealthy. They saw the writing on the wall, and they cooked up the exodus.
The Exodus. Sounds almost biblical, but it was really the end of nations as we knew them, wasn't it? And a huge betrayal.
Absolutely. Maybe the idea of off-world colonies started with some kind of grand vision, exploration, but by the time it actually happened, driven by the environmental collapse, it was pure panic. And critically, it wasn't governments leading the charge, it was private companies.
Which brings us to Aura Spaceport, the launch site.
Aura was ground zero for the escape. Huge ships lifting off, carrying the elite away from the dying Earth, leaving everyone else behind. It became this kind of legend for the survivors, this unreachable heaven they were locked out of.
Locked out. That feels key. The Exodus wasn't about saving humanity, was it? It was about saving some humans.
That's the really damning part.
Yeah.
All the evidence points to it being incredibly selective. A corporate-run exclusion. You find this angry graffiti everywhere near the spaceport. Stuff like, only the rich leave this shit.
Wow.
Yeah, or desperate messages, pleas for equality for all. It makes it crystal clear. If you didn't have the money or weren't useful to the corporations running the show, you were left behind.
So the people underground now, in Speranza, they're not just random survivors. They're the descendants of the excluded, the ones deliberately abandoned.
Precisely. Left to choke on a dying planet by the very people who had the means to take them along, or at least help them.
Is there any specific company linked to this?
Oh, yeah. There's this incredibly powerful piece of graffiti near the dam. It looks like something Banksy might do. Uses the logo of Astra Venturo, apparently a major space travel company back then,
Okay.
and it twists their logo into a wolf biting a small girl.
Jesus,
Yeah.
that's stark.
It really is. It perfectly captures that feeling of corporate predation, that the escape was controlled by powerful interests who saw the rest of humanity as disposable.
Astra Aventuro, the wolf and the child. It says everything about the class divide that defined this pre-collapse world. They just cut their losses and ran.
It seems like it. The world wasn't just dying, it was actively abandoned by its richest players. A calculated betrayal, decades before the first Ark machine ever landed.
Which brings us to another piece of the puzzle from that era, the droids. We know there's at least one, Lance, down in Speranza now, but there were others back then.
Seems so. You find these defunct android bodies, older models perhaps, scattered around the spaceport ruins. The thinking is they were the workforce.
Like construction crews, security.
Both, probably. Building the launch facilities, maintaining order during the chaos of the Exodus. They were tools, basically, built for labor.
And the rush job is visible, you mentioned.
Yeah, the construction era feels hasty. Sloppy paintwork. Things not quite finished. You can picture these droids working around the clock to meet insane deadlines set by the corporations, desperate to get their ships off the ground. Speed over quality.
How do we know these older droids weren't part of the later Ark invasion?
There's one specific find that helps date them. An android, crushed under a fallen piece of rocket debris right there at the spaceport.
Ah, so it was there before the place totally fell apart.
Exactly. It places these droids firmly in the Exodus era, before the major infrastructure collapses, and long before the first wave of Ark machines. They're relics of that corporate getaway, likely just abandoned along with everyone else when the last ships left.
So the first encounter with advanced robots wasn't war, it was exploited labor during the escape of the rich. That definitely sets a grim tone for what comes later.
It really does. Okay, so let's jump forward. Fast forward through that quiet century, that gap after the Exodus. The environment's a mess, the elite are gone, maybe pockets of humanity are trying to rebuild something small.
And then, bang. Around 2145 to 2155, the real nightmare begins.
The first wave.
Yeah.
The timing, based on people like Celeste, suggests it was about 100 years after the Exodus. And whoever was left, they were completely unprepared.
It wasn't gradual invasion then.
No, not at all. Overwhelming force right from the start. The accounts all match. Machines appearing out of nowhere, falling like rain, burning like suns, random merciless strikes.
How quick was the collapse?
Days. Cities flattened. Power grids targeted and destroyed. Communications wiped out. Any sense of organized society on the surface just evaporated.
Sounds like they knew exactly where to hit to cause maximum chaos. Infrastructure, population centers, total breakdown. No chance to even mount a defense, really.
Not a coordinated one, no. The scale was just too immense. But humans did manage one last desperate stand at a place that's become symbolic now.
The Alcantara power plant, which everyone now just calls the dam.
That's the one. It became a fortress of sorts, the last major point of organized resistance. For a short, bloody time, remnants of military armed civilians, they actually held the line there.
Did they learn anything tactically in those last moments on the surface?
They had to learn fast. They figured out how to track Ark patrols, how to spot different machine types. They started finding weak points, exploiting vulnerabilities in the Ark designs. They fought smart, not just hard.
But it wasn't enough. The dam fell.
It was a numbers game they couldn't win. Attrition. The sources mention this brutal statistic. For every one victory the defenders managed, they suffered 3 defeats.
It's unsustainable.
Completely. They ran out of people, out of ammo, out of time. The fall of the dam was the end of any real hope of holding the surface. That's when the final retreat underground began in earnest.
Leaving behind the world we see now, the Rust Belt.
Yeah, the Rust Belt. That's the setting for everything that follows. This huge, poisoned wasteland, constantly crawling with Ark patrols. Even the environment itself feels hostile. The landscape is like a museum of failure.
Let's quickly touch on those key locations. They really tell the story, don't they? The dam obviously is one.
Yeah, the dam now. It's waterlogged, toxic, full of wrecked defenses, probably still crawling with machines. A monument to that lost battle. It's incredibly dangerous.
And our spaceport, the place they escaped from.
That might be the most haunting landmark. It's just silent, shuttles still sitting on launch pads, pointing uselessly at the sky. A constant reminder of the Exodus, the escape route that was closed off. It feels like a graveyard of broken promises.
Then there's the buried city. What's the story there?
Just this incredible image of a whole metropolis frozen in time, half swallowed by sand dunes. It shows you the double whammy, environmental collapse burying the place, and then the machines finishing the job. The city just stopped.
And finally, these raider camps you sometimes find.
Ah, yeah. Those are interesting. They're basically abandoned shelters, little forts, built during the chaos of the first wave, probably by groups who thought, maybe they could hold out on the
Oh,
surface.
they couldn't.
Nope. They were quickly overrun or abandoned. They marked the point where people stopped trying to win back the surface and started just trying to survive under it.
Okay, so the surface is a lost cause. Toxic, overrun by killer machines. But humanity didn't just vanish, they went down.
They literally dug in.
Yeah.
Used old subway tunnels, collapsed mines, abandoned military bunkers, anything they could find or carve out.
Right.
Created this network they call the underground.
And Speranza's the heart of that.
Speranza's the main colony, yeah. The biggest known bastion. It's carved out of rock and old steel structures. But life there, precarious.
How so? What's daily life like?
It's incredibly tightly controlled. Everything is rationed. Food, down to the last calorie. Clean air is a constant struggle, relying on filters that need maintenance they can barely afford. And power. Power is everything.
Scavenged power cells, right.
Exactly. Everything runs on those. Lights, life support workshops. It's a closed system, always on the verge of failing. Survival is measured hour by hour.
And the crazy thing is, Speranza only survives because of the surface world that's trying to kill them.
That's the central paradox, isn't it? They need the resources from up there. Which leads us to the raiders.
The raiders, they're the lifeline.
Have to be. Every piece of scrap, every working component, every single power cell keeping Speranza alive, it's hauled back from the ruins by raiders. They're the ones who brave the surface.
What kind of people become raiders? Are they heroes? Outcasts?
Bit of both, probably. They're the desperate, the reckless, maybe the brave, people willing to gamble their lives so the colony can survive another day. Some down below see them as heroes, sure. Others probably see them as dangerous mercenaries, just out for themselves.
And the truth is somewhere in between.
Likely. They're products of their environment, defined by the risks they take.
What about their gear? It can't be standard military issue.
Oh, definitely not. It's pure improvisation. Armor hammered together from scrap metal, maybe reinforced with plates ripped off a dead arc machine. Weapons cobbled together from old parts, torn wiring. Everything is custom, built to survive. Barely.
It's like they're wearing the history of the war.
In a way, yeah. Using the enemy's own materials against them.
And their missions. They're on a strict timer. 30 minutes.
That's the rule. 30 minutes on the surface, max.
Yeah.
It's tied to their extraction tech, apparently. The signal boosters, the cloaking, whatever they use to get in and out.
Yeah.
It only lasts that long before the arc inevitably pinpoints them.
So every trip up is this frantic race against the clock.
Intense pressure. Constantly. Get in, grab what you can, get out before the timer runs out or something big finds you.
Life below is fragile, you said. What about trust? Especially among the raiders themselves, that kind of pressure must breed suspicion.
Absolutely. The descriptions are pretty grim. Talk of the tunnels being like rats on a sinking ship. Trust is incredibly hard to earn, easy to lose. Reputation is everything, built one successful extraction at a time.
And on the surface, all bets are off.
Pretty much. Up there, the rule is survival. Any ally could turn on you for a better haul or a safer escape route. Betrayal is common, almost expected.
So they're fighting the machines above and potentially each other below. It's just constant conflict.
It's a brutal existence.
Yeah.
But it's what keeps Speranza breathing. The raider community is vital, even if it's inherently dangerous and unstable.
Okay, let's really focus on the enemy now. The Ark. This mechanical tide that swept humanity aside. What are we actually dealing with? Is it just one type of machine?
Oh no, far from it. The Ark operates like a whole ecosystem of machines.
Right.
There's a clear hierarchy, different tiers based on their role and threat level.
All right, break it down for us. Start at the bottom.
Okay, lowest tier, you've got your scouts and, well, annoyances. Things like ticks, small, sneaky ground units, mostly for observation. Easy to kill if you spot them.
And pops. Snitches.
Pops are a bit nastier. Small, fast, designed for sudden, close-range attacks. Jump scares, basically. Snitches, though, they're the real problem at this level. They don't usually attack directly.
What do they do then?
They spot you and they broadcast your location. They snitch on you, drawing in the bigger threats. They make stealth incredibly difficult.
Okay, so that's the low tier. What's next? Medium tier.
Medium tier tends to be aerial. Fast, autonomous swarm units. You've got hornets and wasps. Think quick, agile flyers that harass you, often in groups, trying to overwhelm you or pin you down. especially nasty near extraction points.
And rocketeers.
Slightly bigger, tougher. They carry explosive projectiles, good for area denial. They can flush you out of cover pretty effectively. Taking them down is often a priority because they can mess up your timed run really fast.
Right. And then the heavy hitters.
Yep.
The ones that actually broke cities.
Yeah, the core forces.
Yeah.
These are the real instruments of destruction. You have leapers, terrifyingly fast, heavily armored assault units designed to just crash through defenses, pure kinetic shock troops.
Questions.
Think mobile tanks. Huge, slow, heavily shielded fortress units designed to lock down an area with sustained firepower. Very tough nuts to crack.
Bombardiers sound self-explanatory.
Pretty much. Long-range artillery platforms often stay back, but they can level buildings from miles away.
Yeah.
You might not even see them, just the incoming shells.
And towering over all of them, the Queen.
The Queen, yeah. These massive central command units, heavily armed, incredibly durable. They seem to coordinate local Ark activity and often guard something important, like those harvesters we'll get to. Taking on a Queen is a major operation.
This whole hierarchy, it doesn't sound like mindless robots. There's coordination, intelligence there.
Definitely. The Ark aren't just acting randomly. They communicate, they use tactics. Raiders even learn to read their behavior states.
Behavior states? Like what?
Like the color of their lights or energy signatures. Blue usually means they're just patrolling, searching. Yellow means they're alerted, they've spotted something they're investigating.
And red.
Red means full combat mode. They've locked on, and they're coming for you. The moment you see red, things get serious fast.
And this intelligence, it means you can't just fight them all the same way.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's complex. Each machine type demands a different approach. Maybe you need armor-piercing rounds for a bastion's plating, but for a leaper, you need to hit a specific joint during its jump. Or maybe heavy explosives are the only answer for a bombardier.
So raiders have to be tactical experts, choosing their loadout carefully for each mission.
Exactly. It's a constant tactical challenge, not just a shooting gallery.
Which brings us back to that core paradox. These terrifying machines, the source of all the danger.
They're also the source of survival. It's the ultimate double-edged sword.
How so?
Because when a raider manages to take down an Ark machine, that wreckage isn't just scrap. It's a gold mine.
Resources?
Critical resources.
Yeah.
High-quality metal alloys you can't find anywhere else. Power cells, the lifeblood of Speranza. Complex electronic components needed to build or repair. Raider gear, weapons, settlement systems.
So humanity is literally rebuilding its existence from the pieces of the things that destroyed it.
Precisely. They live off the carcasses of their hunters. It's this really grim, symbiotic relationship. The only way to survive tomorrow is to go out today, fight the Ark, and bring back parts of them to keep the lights on.
Okay, that's the what. Now the biggest question, the why, or rather the who. Where did the Ark come from? It's the central mystery, right?
Absolutely. What is their origin? What's their ultimate goal?
We do have one massive clue that points away from, say, aliens.
Right. That detail about the salvaged components. Raiders find human letters, numbers, symbols etched onto internal parts, sometimes even external casings.
Standardized markings like manufacturing codes.
Themes like it, which strongly suggests that whoever built the Ark, or the technology they used, originated on Earth. They're not entirely alien. They're tied back to humanity somehow.
Okay, so keeping that human link in mind, let's talk theories. What are the main ideas floating around about who built them and why? Theory 1 seems to tie back to the Exodus.
Yeah, Theory 1 leans heavily into that original betrayal. It suggests the Ark wasn't built by aliens, or even by some rogue AI that emerged later. It was built by humans.
Which humans?
Either a faction that split off during the Exodus, or maybe even the descendants of the elite who left Earth. The idea is they built the Ark off-world, maybe in orbital factories or on colony worlds.
And then sent them back.
Exactly, sent them back to finish the job, to cleanse the Earth. It makes the Exodus look less like an escape and more like a strategic withdrawal before launching a planet-wide sterilization campaign.
So the war is essentially being waged by the descendants of those who abandoned everyone else? That's dark.
It makes the whole conflict deeply personal, doesn't it? Now, Theory 2 focuses more on what the Ark are actually doing right now.
Which connects to those Queen units you mentioned,
Yeah.
and the harvesters.
Precisely. We observe these huge Queen machines guarding equally massive harvester units. And these harvesters are actively gathering something. Materials, resources, maybe even biological samples or data.
And sending it where?
Sending it up into space. There are indications of transport beams or shuttle activity associated with these harvesters. This suggests a clear motive. Resource extraction on a planetary scale.
So the Ark are basically automated miners. working for someone off-world.
That's the core of theory, too. Someone, presumably the Exodus descendants again, is using Earth like a giant automated strip mine guarded by a killer robot army.
Okay, that makes sense too. Which leads us to theory 3, which sounds like it combines elements of both. The cleansing idea.
Theory 3 is maybe the most chilling, because it ties everything together. It asks, if they just want resources, why the relentless focus on wiping out the remaining humans? Why hunt down every last raider?
Good question.
The theory suggests the Ark is performing a targeted extermination, a cleansing operation. Why? Because the original owners, the elite or their descendants, eventually plan to return to Earth.
And they don't want to find it occupied.
Exactly. They don't want to come back to a planet crawling with thousands of angry, desperate, battle-hardened survivors, the raiders who remember being abandoned and have spent generations learning how to fight Ark machines.
They'd be returning to face an instant, bloody civil war.
Precisely. So under Theory 3, the Ark is the ultimate pest control, an automated genocide machine sent to sanitize the planet, wipe the slate clean, and make Earth safe for the owner's return. It turns the current surface war into Act 2 of the class war that started with the Exodus.
Wow, so the machines are just tools in a long-running human conflict run by proxy from space.
That's the terrifying implication. The war isn't against some alien intelligence, it's against the consequences of humanity's own past cruelty and division.
All right, we've got the grim history, the surface war, the mystery of the Ark. Let's go back underground now, into Speranza itself. Survival there isn't just about technology, it's about people, key figures keeping it all together.
Absolutely. And leadership is critical. You've got Celeste, the raider leader. She's become this vital symbol of hope for everyone down there.
That's a heavy burden. How does she manage it?
She seems to run on pure will and probably a lot of caffeine. The descriptions paint her as constantly strategizing, always planning the next raid, trying to keep morale up even when things look bleak. You hear about her playing darts late at night, drinking coffee, just trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Projecting confidence even if she doesn't feel it.
That's the job, isn't it? Especially when Ark attacks are getting worse. She has to be the rock.
And balancing her out, you have Shawnee, the head of security. She sounds different.
Very different. Shawnee is the pragmatist, maybe even the pessimist, but in a useful way.
Yeah.
She's the settlement's Ark expert, knows their tactics, their weaknesses. She's described as obsessive, suspicious, even paranoid.
But that paranoia keeps them safe.
That's the idea. Her meticulous contingency planning, her strict vetting of newcomers, she demands anyone wanting to settle in Speranza proves themselves as a capable raider. First, it's all part of keeping the colony secure. She trusts data and preparedness, not hope.
It's a classic dynamic, isn't it? The inspirational leader and the cautious guardian.
Keeps things in balance, maybe. Then you have the traders, the people providing essential services. And they've got their own stories, like Lance, the medic, who's also an android.
Right, Lance, the bubbly, eccentric one, trying hard to be human.
Yeah, it's quite endearing, apparently. He sings karaoke terribly, tries to follow fashion, even takes up boxing. He's a brilliant medic, no question, but he seems desperate to fit in, to be accepted by the humans he patches up.
But there's a mystery around him too, isn't there? His memory.
That's the big hook with Lance. Amnesia. He can't remember anything from before the Ark arrived. Nothing about his original purpose or identity.
Which suggests what?
Well, it heavily implies his past is significant. Was he just a standard medical droid? Or something more? Security. Involved with the Exodus somehow. The fact his memory is gone feels deliberate, like something important, maybe dangerous, was wiped. It's a huge potential lore drop waiting to happen.
Definitely one to watch. Who else? Apollo, the mechanic.
Apollo. He's the gadget guy, the fixer.
Yeah.
Keeps the Raiders' gear working. He's described as a bit cryptic about his own past, a traveling mechanic. But he seems more focused on maintaining humanity than just machines.
How so?
He does things like organize football games for the kids in Speranza. He stocks the library with books he finds on raids. He believes there's more to life than just surviving the next day. He's trying to preserve some culture, some normalcy amidst the chaos.
Fighting the dehumanizing effect of it all.
Seems like it. And then there's Tien Wen, the weapons dealer, a real contradiction.
Talented gunsmith, but hates raiders.
Exactly. She's apparently a recluse, doesn't hide her disdain for the risks raiders take, only deals with them because she has to. But there's this mention of a soft spot.
For what?
For fixing things, not just guns. She meticulously repairs old, broken action figures found in the ruins, sometimes even patches up injured people, though she's not a medic. It's like she has this quiet respect for anything broken that could be made whole again, whether it's a toy or a person.
Fascinating characters.
Mhm.
But beyond the individuals, the past lingers in other ways, right? You mentioned the corporate branding at Aryura Spaceport.
Yeah, the spaceport is like a time capsule of late-stage corporate structure. The layout, the logos, the zone colors, they tell you exactly who is running the Exodus and what mattered to them.
So the industrial side, the rockets.
That seems to be heavily linked to a company called Gianco Romana. Their logo is plastered all over the big vehicle assembly buildings, the specialized warehouses. These are the blue zones on the maps. This was the noisy, dirty, heavy engineering part of the operation, building the actual escape vehicles, probably located well away from.
Passengers, the red zones.
Right. The passenger areas marked in red seem split. Evan Tala's branding is associated with departures. Cleaner areas, more organized, the final step for the elite getting out. But interestingly, there's also Vigorosa linked to an arrivals building.
Arrivals. Why would they need an arrivals building during a one-way exodus?
Good question. It suggests maybe the original plan wasn't just a panicked escape. Maybe they expected supply runs back from the colonies or shuttles returning for some reason before the Ark showed up and slammed that door shut.
Intriguing. What about the logistics? Moving all those people and materials.
You see logos for Supercosta, they look like major suppliers. Their name is on industrial blocks. And Ermacora, linked to container storage. They were the nuts and bolts, the supply chain keeping the whole massive operation running.
And security. Can't have chaos during an evacuation like that.
Guardia. Their logo appears everywhere at checkpoints. Clearly a private security firm handling crowd control, access, keeping order. What's interesting is some raiders apparently still find functional Guardia gear or incorporate the logo into their scavenged armor. That corporate legacy literally lives on.
And one final check before getting on the ships.
Health screening, Malay Analyze. Their branding is right there at the security checkpoints alongside Guardia. They were the ones deciding who was fit to leave, likely based on health, maybe age, or maybe just wealth and status disguised as health requirements. It's the final filter, that last act of corporate selection and exclusion frozen in the ruins.
The spaceport isn't just ruins, it's a blueprint of the betrayal.
Pretty much, yeah. Tells you exactly who held the power and what their priorities were when they decided to leave Earth behind. Hashtag Che conclusion and final thoughts.
Okay, wow. We have covered a lot of ground today, from the environmental roots of the disaster right up to the current fight for survival. Let's just quickly pull together the main threads for everyone listening.
Sure. So we started with the root cause. Not the machines, but a slow environmental collapse over decades, starting perhaps as early as the late 20th century.
Which led to the exodus, not a rescue, but a selective corporate-run escape for the wealthy elite, leaving the majority behind. Companies like Astra Venturo calling the shots.
Right. Then, roughly a century of quiet, maybe desperate rebuilding for those left behind, until around 2145, when the first wave hit, the Ark arrived.
Falling like rain, burning like suns, forcing the last remnants of humanity underground into places like Speranza.
And Speranza survives only because of the raiders, who braved the surface, fighting the Ark hierarchy from ticks and snitches up to bastions and queens.
And critically, they survive by scavenging the Ark itself, living off the wreckage of their enemy, this bizarre, necessary cycle.
Which leads to the central mystery.
Yeah.
Who built the Ark? The human markings on components strongly point away from aliens. The theories revolve around human origins, descendants of the Exodus elite.
Either using the Ark purely for resource extraction, sending materials back to space via those harvesters.
Or, perhaps more chillingly, using the Ark to actively cleanse the planet of the remaining raider population, preparing Earth for their eventual return without facing a war with the survivors they abandoned. Act 2 of the Class War.
So in the end, the raiders aren't just fighting machines, they're fighting the legacy of human betrayal.
That seems to be the core of it. Their daily struggle, climbing up into that toxic wasteland day after day. It's an act of defiance, a refusal to accept being thrown away. They won't go quietly into the night, as the saying goes, they endure.
It's an incredible story of resilience. Now, we always like to end these deep dives with something lingering, a thread left hanging, something for you, the listener, to maybe think about or look out for.
And in this world, there's a big one. On the maps, among all the known ruins like the dam and the spaceport, there's this other location, locked down tight. Stellawanti.
Stellamonte, what do we know about it?
Not much, which is telling. It's described as consisting of heavily trapped tubes. Rumors among the raiders are intense, mostly fearful, its purpose completely unknown. But the level of security, the traps, it suggests something incredibly important is hidden there.
So maybe the answers we've been discussing today, the true origin of the Ark, the fate of the Exodus elite, maybe even a way to fight back effectively.
Maybe the biggest secrets are still buried inside Stella Monte. It represents the unknown future of this conflict. Even after everything we've uncovered today, the most critical discoveries might still be waiting down there, in the most dangerous, most secret place on the surface.
The final truth, still waiting to be unearthed. Something to keep in mind. Until next time on the deep dive, stay safe down there.
And keep digging.